My name is George. I am the CEO and founder of thisislanguage.com. Some of you may know me from our grammar and structure videos, and I often present them starting off with 120 seconds. And this webinar will be slightly longer than 120 seconds, but I will endeavor to keep it as short as possible because I know how busy you all are. A quick introduction. I studied French and Spanish at Oxford University, and I taught French and Spanish also at a secondary school in the UK. And it was whilst I was at that secondary school that I first had the idea for thisislanguage.com. An interesting fact about me, a mildly interesting fact about me, is that my favorite word is pamplemousse, which means grapefruit in French. And it also happens to be the name of one of my favorite YouTube bands. So you should check them out.
Hello, everybody. My name's Anna Conies-Wainwright, and I'm co-founder and head of content at thisislanguage.com, and I'll be helping George out with a little bit of this presentation this afternoon. I studied French and Italian at Oxford University before teaching English in Italy. And for this introduction, George asked me to think of my favorite word in another language, and I was hard pushed, but I decided on schifoso in Italian, which means disgusting, and I like it because you have to pull a sort of disgusted face while you say it.
Excellent. Thank you, Anna. So a very, very quick overview of the plan for this webinar. We're going to have a very quick look at our new look on the site, why it's there, why it exists. We're then going to go straight into the demo of the speaking, which is really going to be what this webinar is all about. We'll then have some time for Q&A at the end. So if you've got any questions which you think about as I'm giving this presentation, please pop them in the Q&A feature on Zoom rather than the chat feature, and that way it's easier to find them at the end. And we'll also have a quick look at our roadmap for the future for new features which will be rolling out. Just before I get started, a quick look at our mission, why we do what we do, and just to sort of step back a second. And it's very simple. Our mission here at thisislanguage.com is to create joyful tools for teaching languages. I know that many of you are already subscribers to us, and we're very grateful to have you as clients. And I know that some of you listening now or listening in the future on the recording of this won't know too much about us. But we started off with a focus on authentic language, unscripted language, filmed in the streets of Paris and Madrid and Buenos Aires and other places. And we now are used by over 1,500 schools and almost 250,000 students worldwide. And we're so much more than just that backbone of our authentic language videos. And our clients now rely on us to deliver their language curriculum in schools. We're set up by linguists, we are for linguists, and we like to think of ourselves as pedagogically thorough, but also joyful and quirky. So that is our mission. I want to talk now about just the new look that some of you will have seen on the site, why we did it and where it's going and why it's relevant to the new speaking module. Well, we've done it and we designed it for you. We made sure that we stripped back the interface to make it simpler and more intuitive to navigate around for you and your students. We made sure we used nice bold colors. We kept things a little bit quirky and bouncy, and it's allowed us to create an interface which I think feels modern and fresh and vibrant in the classroom. But behind all that, or I should say underneath all that, is some groundbreaking technical architectural changes that we have made, which will allow us and are allowing us now to add new features on thisislanguage.com and to design new ways for you to use it. And it's really exciting. And this speaking module, which I'm about to demonstrate to you, is really the first of a whole swathe of new changes and new features, which we're going to be launching over the next 6 to 12 months. Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, señoras y señores, damen and herren, welcome to Speaking on thisislanguage.com. Sorry, that was piped applause. I am by myself in the office. I'm sure if the rest of my team were here, they would be applauding. And I'm sure if I could hear you, you would applaud too. Let me give you a quick overview of speaking. This is why you're here. I'm going to try and keep it as clear as possible. A lot of you are subscribers already, which means that you will be able to log in and follow me as I do this demo. If you're not a subscriber, follow along anyway, do ask more questions and reach out to us if you'd like to inquire about a trial of the product. So what you should do is click on the speaking button, which you'll find when you log in to your account. It's now live and active. I'm just going to log in as a fake teacher so I can demo the site to you. So this is what you'll see when you log in as a teacher. The speaking button is here. And just before I click on it, I want to give you an idea of what speaking is in a nutshell before I start. Effectively, there are 4 parts to it, or you can think of it as having 4 parts. The first part is that you as the teacher choose or create a prompt or a stimulus, which is a question. And you're going to choose a question for your students to answer. The second part is that once you've assigned that question to your students and any suggested videos, which I'll explain in a moment, your student will then record a response to that prompt. The third part is that once you get the recording back from your student, which will pop up on your feed, you select the grading criteria and grade those responses and give feedback should you want to. And that can be done both with text as well as audio. And the final part, therefore, is that the students would then see your grading and your feedback. So that's speaking in a nutshell. So I'll now go through that in a bit more detail. So part 1, we click on speaking and we're going to choose a question prompt or create our own. I'm doing this in French, but don't worry, those of you who are Spanish teachers or German teachers, Italian teachers, etc. This applies across all languages, and I'll make sure I don't speak any French. I'll speak in English when it comes to the actual recording part. As I said, the first thing is you can either choose a question from our prompts or create your own. I'll show you how to create your own question first, and this is also always very useful if you've been teaching something specific in class and you want to answer a question about what you've been teaching in class that day. You click on add a new question, and here you can ask your question. So you might want to say something like, est-ce que les amis sont importants? Okay, so you type your question and you click add that as a new question. And then when you go to your questions bank, you'll see, this is one I did earlier, but here's my one I just written, est-ce que les amis sont importants? So then you can go ahead and select that as your prompt, okay? But for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to choose a prompt from our already existing library of prompts. Now, those of you who already use thisislanguage.com will be familiar with our themes and tags, all of which are aligned to the various curricula that you'll be using. So if you could scroll down, you can select any of these you want. I'm going to choose a simple one. I'm going to choose the tag your friends. Actually, I'll choose your family. And here are the questions which you can select as prompts. So this first one here, parle-moi un peu de ta famille, means tell me a little bit about your family. I'm going to choose that one. So I click on the question and then it pops up with this page here. We worked really hard and in close collaboration with lots of teachers as we were building the speaking module. And what we found is that teachers wanted to make sure that the speaking was tied into context, real context and authentic language. So here you can optionally select up to 3 videos for your students to watch as example answer videos or inspirational videos before they give their own response. So I might choose this video, this one and this one here. If you want to preview those videos before you select them, you can just click play and it will open up in a new tab. So I've chosen 2 additional videos which I want my students to watch before they answer this prompt question here. I then click assign And then it says you can choose the class you're going to assign it to. So I'm going to assign it to my Year 10 French class. Here you have the videos which we've selected. You then have the option of the maximum length of the student response. So this puts a limit on how long they can speak for. So there's 20 seconds, 40 seconds, or 60 seconds. I'm going to choose a 40-second response as the maximum time. And here you have the start date and the due date as you would have for all the other activities on thisislanguage.com. You click save, and that's it, basically. That's the first part done. You have now assigned a prompt or a stimulus to your students to give a recorded answer. A quick thing to mention, speaking, we've got beta up here. We're still in beta, or we launched it in beta, only in the sense that we know that you're going to be using this and providing us with some wonderful feedback. And we know that in the next raft of changes, we'll be making changes to it. So we wanted to make sure that you know that this is a beta launch, all ready to go, perfectly wonderful to use, but we know there are going to be some changes we make based on your feedback. So please do let us know. I'm now going to log in. I'm going to log out as this teacher, and I'm going to log in as a student in that class. So if you imagine this is your student now logging in. Okay, so oh, hold on, let me close that one off. Sorry, that's one I just did earlier. So the student now logs in, and they can see in their feed that they have got a speaking assignment, which you have assigned them. Parle-moi un peu de ta famille. And they can now go to task. You will be asked to record a response to the following question. Your response should be no more than 40 seconds long. That was the length of time we allowed them to talk for. So, parle-moi un peu de ta famille. The student clicks next. Watch these responses for inspiration. So there are two videos which we chose, if you remember. There's the transcript, which the student will hopefully find useful if they want to select bits of vocabulary or structures which they might want to use in their own recording. So they could, and obviously watch.
Alors, on est une famille de 5 personnes.
Hopefully, can you all hear that through the system audio and team? Yep, that all seems to work. So thank you. Yeah. So they can watch a second video. Again, the transcript would be there. And then they click next. And finally, we get to this page here, which is what we like to call the student studio. Effectively, it's the recording studio. A number of things to note here. There's the question prompt right in the middle, very nice and clear. The question is being asked by this girl here. So this is Karija Touré, famous French actress at the moment. We've got a whole series of random cultural icons in the language that you're studying, who will pop up and, as it were, ask the question to make it a bit fun and relevant for the students, and perhaps to provoke some classroom discussion about who they are and what they starred in or sang or that kind of thing, or wrote maybe. And here you have the recording interface. When they click start recording, you'll see that the timer starts counting down. It starts going like this, and the little pink border of the recording studio starts going red, which shows that we're live, this is recording, and the student's voice is being recorded. So if I now click stop, it'll go back. It's no longer recording. I can click play to listen to my response as a student. Recording, you'll see that the timer starts counting down, it starts going like this, and the little pink border of the recording studio starts. So as a student, I'm listening back to my recording. I can fast forward and go, okay, yeah, I want to listen to later. Student's voice is being recorded. Starts counting down, and pause, etc. I may decide I want to re-record that. So I'll make a re-recording and give a kind of answer that a student might give, and I'll give the answer in English for those of you who don't speak or teach French. So click start. In my family, there are 4 people, my mum, my dad, and my sister. And we also have a small dog called Wopsy. Okay, so I've made the recording. I've listened through it. In my family, there are 4 people, my mum, my dad, and my sister. And we also have a small dog called Wopsy. Yes, I don't have a small dog called Wopsy, for those of you interested. They can keep on re-recording until they're happy and confident with their answer, and then they click submit. At the point at which they click submit, the student has now submitted, their speaking assignment back to you. They get a congratulatory message, there's some confetti animation, and they now effectively are sort of done. And when they go back to their homepage, it'll see waiting for the teacher to grade. So they're waiting for you to grade that response. I'm now going to log out as the student, and I will log back in as my fake teacher. Okay, so here I can see that one student has recorded out of my 10 in my class. I haven't checked any responses yet. That's because I'm about to do that now. So I'm going to click on listen to responses. Okay, so here we are. If I scroll down, you can see that Matt Money, who's my student, it's green tick, completed on time. They completed their recording. Those of you who use the site will be familiar with this interface for other assignments, obviously. But the big difference here is that it hasn't got a score, no points, spent 4 minutes on it, and it says grade here. Now, before you grade this piece of work or any of the recordings that your students will send back to you, you're going to want to check out the grading criteria to make sure it's aligned with what you want to be, how you want to be grading. And at this stage, I'm going to hand over to my co-founder, Anna Wainwright.
Thank you, George. If you don't mind doing some clicking for me still, that would be great.
No problems.
So I'm going to take you through the grading portion of the speaking feature. Because we know that you'll be assigning speaking tasks to a whole range of students and classes of different ages and abilities, we want you to have maximum control and flexibility when it comes to how marks are allocated. And that's why we've made it possible for you to adjust the grading criteria for each speaking task before you start listening to the responses. So to get started, just click on the blue Show Grading Criteria button, which is at the top there. Thank you. And here you can see the 4 criteria that you can choose from. And if you hover over the little eye icon next to each one, you'll see a brief suggested summary of what each one entails. So for communication and content, we're looking to see to what extent does the response provide an informative, comprehensible answer to the question, and also is the response an appropriate length. For range of language, we're looking at the extent to which the response includes varied vocab and structures. For accuracy, to what extent are grammar and constructions used correctly in the response? And then finally, for pronunciation and intonation, to what extent does the response include accurate pronunciation and natural intonation? And it's really important to say here that these are just our suggested definitions. So they're there for you to use as a guide, but you can obviously interpret and apply them however you like, provided that your students understand what you're looking for under each criteria at each stage. You can use them however suits your teaching best. So by toggling these criteria on and off, you can decide what you will and won't be listening for when you're grading. So, for example, if your main focus is on whether or not your students were able to sustain communication in their response to provide enough language, you might decide that on this particular occasion, you're not going to grade for pronunciation, in which case you can just toggle it off like this. Similarly, or alternatively, if you've been using your lesson time with your classes to work on narrating events and making sure that they know how to reference the past and the present and the future in their speaking, you might choose to grade only for range of language and accuracy this time round. So you might decide to toggle off communication and content. If you wanted to, you could set a speaking task and only grade on pronunciation and intonation if that's what suits your particular needs at that time. You're free to toggle however you like. For the purposes of this demonstration, let's assume that you'll be including all 4 criteria so that we can show you how that looks. Thank you, George. The next thing that you need to do once you've decided which criteria you're going to use is decide how many marks to allocate to each of the criteria. And you do that by changing the number in the box just underneath the criteria. So you're free to choose any number you like as suits your particular sort of schematic. But for these purposes, let's allocate 10 marks to each of the criteria. Once you've done that, you are ready to go. So we can hide those criteria just to tidy up the page a little bit. And now we can start grading. So we're going to go down to Matt's response, and we're going to click the blue grade button on the right-hand side. And you can see here that at the top you have the recording itself ready to play. Below it, you have the grading criteria that you've chosen already populated. You can see that the total is out of 40. So that's because we chose to allocate 10 marks to each of the criteria. And we're ready to go. So to begin with, we're going to click play and have a listen to Matt's response.
Start. In my family, there are 4 people, my mum, my dad, and my sister. And we also have a small dog called Wopsy.
So once we've listened to the response, we are ready to start grading. We'll work our way through the criteria and decide what we think is appropriate. So I think we're going to give Matt 5 out of 10 for communication and content because it was a good answer, but it was a bit short. I think range of language, we'll give him a 6. Accuracy, it was pretty accurate. It was good English, so we'll say 9, shall we, for accuracy. And then pronunciation and intonation was very nice, so we'll say 10 out of 10 for pronunciation and intonation. So you can see then once you've used the sliding scales to mark the criteria, then the total and the percentage score are automatically calculated for you. And now, and perhaps most importantly, you can leave the student some feedback. So we've given you the ability to leave both a text comment and also an audio comment. So in the text comment, you might like to put, well done, Matt, but try a longer response next time. This is great having someone to type for me. And then there's the option to leave an audio comment. And an audio comment you might find particularly useful for modeling any language that your student had difficulty with, for showing them the correct pronunciation of words they struggled with, or just to help improve their listening, generally speaking. So George, you can go ahead and leave Matt a comment.
Well done, Matt, but try a longer response next time.
So once you've recorded your comment, you can listen to it back, you can re-record it.
Well
or
done,
if you're
Matt,
not
but try a longer response next time.
If you like, you can delete it. There's a little delete button there on the right-hand side, or you can re-record it. Once you're happy with the marks and also with the feedback, you can click submit, and the marks and feedback will be sent directly to the student for them to view. And I think just before I hand back to George and we leave this page, there's one more thing I'd like to mention. Once you've given your students feedback, you can also give us feedback. So you see the blue box here on this grading page allows you to leave feedback for us on your experiences with the speaking module so far. As George said, we are in beta and we're really looking forward to receiving your feedback, so that we can make changes and improvements to help give you exactly what you need. So please do let us know anything that pops into your head along the way. And now I'm going to hand back to George to show you what the feedback looks like from the student end.
Fantastic. Thank you, Anna. So we've graded Matt Monies. We assume you've managed to grade the other students as well. Just to quickly show you what it looks like from the student perspective, I log back in as Matt. So once the students, or rather, once you've graded a student's work, they will see this in their feed. So I guess one of the important things to note is, as well as having all the communication and content, etc., the grading criteria, they'll get the score, the points, any text comment that you might have made, plus an audio comment. We do obviously take student data, student privacy really, really seriously, which is why all of our audio files will be encrypted in transit, which means that you just need to, or the student will just need to click before they can actually play, so we can decrypt the audio. And this allows them then to play their own audio. In my family, there are, which we know about, Whoopsie, and we can also listen to the teacher's feedback.
Well done, Matt, but try a longer response next time.
Okay, so that way they've done the work. You've you've assigned them a prompt. They've given a response. You've managed to set the grading criteria and allocate grading points to them, and then you can submit additional feedback both as text and as audio, and the student is then able to take that on board and hopefully improve their audio for next time. That, in summary, in a larger nutshell than before, is the new speaking feature on thisislanguage.com. We're really, really excited about it. We're desperately keen to hear your feedback about the new speaking feature. The team has been working really hard over the last few months to put this all together, to get it live for you. And we're delighted that you're going to be using it and letting us know how we can improve it, any essential changes that we need to make, so that it's going to become a really useful part of your armory, of your arsenal, for teaching languages. I'm now going to let me just get this right. I will jump out of this screen and go back to here. And then hopefully we can go to the questions. Is that full screen? Yes, that's still full screen. So please do ask us now any questions, either for myself or for Anna. If you can possibly put them in the Q&A area of Zoom rather than in the chat, it just becomes easier to read them. Just whilst the first few questions are coming through, I'm going to give you a little bit of an update on what we've got to look forward to over the next 6 to 12 months in terms of new features. As I mentioned, this new tech stack is allowing us to do some really cool things. So, for instance, one of the next new features we'll be launching is a new writing module, which will allow you to assign presentational writing assignments to your students. Very exciting. Another feature, which is a much requested feature, is a multi-teacher classrooms. That will be coming soon. We've also got advanced certification and standards alignment to make sure that whatever the curriculum or the textbook or the standards that you're using in your schools, that thisislanguage.com will be really directly mapped to it. And that's going to be excellent and a very useful feature for you guys. And finally, we will be launching a new multiplayer game. So that's what the roadmap looks like. Anna, you are manning the questions.
I'm manning the questions.
Feed. Yeah.
So great, we've got some great questions already. So we'll get stuck in. I've got 2 questions here, one from Janine and one from Norma, who are both actually asking about when the feature will be available. And the answer is it's available now. So you can use it now. If you log in, you'll see the blue speaking button ready to go. It's in, we're saying it's in beta, which means that we're planning to make changes to it, but that doesn't mean it's not available for you to use. It's ready to go. So you can log in and get started. Let me just, hopefully that's good news for you guys. I'm just working my way through. I've got 2 questions, I think, which are to do with extending the time. So Kenneth asks, is 60 seconds the maximum time, or can teachers have the ability to add more time? At the moment, 60 seconds is the maximum, and we decided on those numbers 20, 40, 60 based on consultation with teachers. But if you'd like more, please do let us know in the feedback box that we showed you. We're really, really keen to hear all of your ideas on that front, so do let us know. I'm Norma asks, how many times can students re-record their responses? And the answer is unlimited. They can keep recording, re-recording until they're happy. I'm keep working my way through. I've got a couple of questions about the grading criteria, one from Suzette and one from Gisela. About can you adapt the grading criteria to match a schematic you might be working from, perhaps for the district. We always expected that the grading section would be where there was the most variation in terms of how teachers are using it. So at the moment, it's adaptable in the way that we demonstrated. But if you would like to be able to make further changes, then do just let us know in the feedback box exactly sort of what you'd like to be able to change, and that will allow us to make changes in the future in the next round of additions. So any feedback that you have, please do put into the use the submit feedback button on the grading page, because that will come directly to me and I'll be able to keep tabs on it and make sure that we're able to give you what you need. So thank you to those two. Christian asks, do the students receive an email notifying them of the teacher response and feedback? The answer at the moment is that they don't, Christian, but if that's something that you'd like, then please do send us feedback about that as well. Letting us know what you'd ideally like to be included in such an email. Just working my way through this. Oh, Laura asks, is there a way to see the student view in general when you're using thisislanguage.com? So Laura, every exercise has a preview option, which allows you to sort of go into an exercise and click through it and see how it'll look for the student. But if you'd like to see sort of the whole site as a student, including the way that the feed looks and things like that, then my suggestion would be to create yourself a fake student account, just like the one that George has, Map Money, which you can then log into and have a little look around if you like. But do look out for the preview button on all of the exercises, because that's a good place to start. One question from Maria here. It's a really interesting one. If I create my own question, can I record a video for students to watch before answering? That's a really interesting question. At the moment, that's not something that's possible. But if that's something that you are interested in the whole idea of being able to create your own model answers, then let us know. We'd be really interested to hear about that. Let us know the kind of thing that you'd like to be able to do. That would be fantastic. I'm just working my way through. Oh, and I think, Andrea, you had the same question there. So yeah, let us know what you'd like as well. The more feedback, the better. Teresa asks, what if we don't want them to see the transcript? Let us know. That's something that we can look into for you. The transcripts often people find very useful as they're able to, helps the students when they're listening to read through the text. But yeah, just let us know if you'd like us to change that. I'm running out of time. I don't want to keep you all for much longer. So what I might do, we've got lots and lots of questions. So what I might do is I've got the questions here, and I'll reach out to people individually to answer any questions that I haven't managed to get to. And also I'm sure that you'll have lots of questions as you start using the resource. So please don't hesitate to use the email address that's on the screen now to get in touch, or use the feedback function too. George, anything to add?
Well, the only thing to add is that I am delighted to have feedback like this already. It really chimes in with what we've been thinking about, and it's just so satisfying to hear that we're on the same page. So please send in the feedback, keep it coming. It means we can then really assess which of the next round of features are going to be the most urgent, which have the most carry the most weight, and just keep the feedback coming, and in the next iteration we'll be able to include some of those. So thank you so much for that. The only thing really left for me to say, I suppose, is thank you all for coming. Thanks for attending, taking time out of your busy days. I won't keep you any longer. It's in Oxford, it is a beautiful day, which is an incredibly rare thing. So I should probably get outside because I've been inside all day. I hope you can get back to teaching, and I hope you can enjoy any of the nice weather that might be in the different parts of the world that you're all in at the moment. This recording will be made available to you. One of the team will be in touch with you to let you know how to access it. It only remains for me to say many, many thanks once again, and we hope to hear from you soon. Okay, bye-bye.